Alright, I guess this is somewhat part 2 of tear down of this 4.8. Now I want to show you guys something real quick, because this seems to be a failure point, and it was on me the first time I did it too. That is removing the knock sensor wires. If you get a hold of this and jerk up on it, you will break the top of the knock sensor. So what you do, as you'll see, it's got a flat spot on each side. Just push on that and pull straight up. And you see that kind of locks that way. By pushing it in, you're actually releasing the center. See that there, those two tip. So you got to push on those flat spots to get rid of it. This one, somebody's already broke. I still had to do it, but you can see what it does. It actually breaks both sides of these. So keep that in mind. Let me set your back down. I know I should jerk you around like that. So anyway, I've already pulled. I want to show you guys something too. This is kind of a pain. If you're pulling one of these motors out of something that still has the 4L60 in it, I'm going to try to get close where you can actually see this. And kind of, that is the torque converter bolts on these older ones. I don't know what the 04 has yet. I haven't been underneath it, but the old ones had this. That is a I think it's a T50 Torx. It may be Allen. These are so tore up that it was hard to say, which means somebody had actually tried before to get it. And what you end up doing is tearing them smooth up. And they're kind of concave, they're Loctited in, and you can fight them. There's 3 of them. And so when this thing showed up, it still had the torque converter hanging off the back of the motor. Well, I had to have it off in the flex plate to get it on the engine stand. So to get those off, go down and get one of those little MAP gas or little, one of those little propane torches, one of them little handheld single bottle, electric start, whatever you want to call it, torch set, or torch. It's just one little, I have one, but it's at the shop, so I actually had to get my big torch set out to do it. But a small one will do it. You just got to stay there after it a while. Heat those things up before you try loosening them, because you won't get them without tearing something up. At least I have found I couldn't do it. But you take them and heat them up really good, and they will come out. So, and as a matter of fact, they came out really, really easy. They almost come out by hand. So, well, he's left some of the bolts here. Some are here, some aren't. They broke the oil pressure gauge sensor. It's right here. This is your cam sensor. Like I told you, those two are your knock sensors. When we get through here, I'll show you all the sensors that are there. These, I have not heard almost anybody replace a cam sensor in one of these. I'm not saying they don't go bad, but I was really surprised to hear that they don't, they're really not that notorious for going out. So, unless you just have to have it, I sure wouldn't replace it. I am going to tear into this, enough that it may come out. It may not have to come out. I'm not really sure. Those are 10s. I want to go ahead and pull the lifters. They won't fall out when you turn it over, but I kind of want to show you how this works. It's a nice thing about the LS, you can swap a cam without having to pull the lifters. The problem is, you take your rack off the top of your head, which obviously is not here, I can't show that to you. Pull your lifters, and you spin the cam around once you get everything apart in the front, and then these things all pick up, and then they'll hold there. They're actually supposed to hold. That stops them from turning. These little flat spots on there hold them, and then stop them, like I said, from turning. And it should come out, but I'm not going to hold my breath, because there's almost always a little bit of scale at the bottom. That, or a little bit of, I'm going to call it kind of like a not quite a ridge ring like these get, but they get a little bit of ridge of oil, and that's what these are doing too. So I'll probably have to get something in there to pull them out. Not uncommon. And it moves, but I can't pull them out all the way. You don't have to replace those holders unless you want to. So I've actually noticed that there's a couple of kits around. It's got the lifters and the holders. I'm not saying you don't. You can if you want. I would suppose if you got the block really hot, if it got thermonuclear meltdown, somebody got it super hot, I don't know how well that plastic would hold up, so you might think about it then. But as far as just replacing them, I mean, there's really not much can go wrong if they haven't been broke or gotten hot. And I'm not saying heat will hurt them either. I'm just kind of guessing because they are kind of flimsy. They're light. I know I got a lot of cleanup I'm going to have to do on this. He did some, but there's one lifter. This is what they call a roller lifter. I do not have a, well, I guess just oil on there. I don't have a flat one here. I'd show you what the difference is, but that's a roller lifter in case you were wondering. I'm sure a lot of you know what these are, but I've actually never messed with them too much. The only one I've ever messed with was a rebuilt old Ford pickup truck. It's a 91, and I went and found a 88 Lincoln Town Car, 89, something like that, that had a bad transmission in it, and I wanted that higher output 302, and I knew it had, the Lincolns ran roller lifters and stuff. So I bought it, drug it home, tore it all apart, and then found out that somewhere in those years they had changed the heads a little bit, and these are actually coming out really easy. So this thing actually isn't sludged up that bad. Not like I figured it would be. These all came out really easy so far. I'm just getting it with a pair of needle nose pliers. I mean, it's not like, let me get in front of the camera. That one's a little harder. Yeah, as soon as I speak, that's what happens when my mouth runs. Anyway, alright, they're all out now. I drained what little bit of oil was in and out. That of course does not mean when I turn this thing over I'm not going to end up with a mess, because I almost always do. Normally I put cat litter down first underneath it just to get started, but I do not have any here. Again, it's at the shop. What else is new? Okay, there ain't much else on top. I mean, I could pull the cylinder, oil pressure gauge out, and I could pull a cam sensor, but I think for now, that thing sounds good. I bet you I haven't used this cherry picker or engine stand. I bought this when I was in my 20s. So far, nothing's leaking out real bad. And oh man, that thing sounds like crap. Anyway, I bought this thing years ago. Your older guys will remember J.C. Whitney. Most people, I mean, it's still around, but most people don't order from them too much anymore, I guess. They do have a lot of stuff for like old VW and stuff. I mean, you can basically buy an entire interior kit for like an old Bug or something. And we got a lot of engine parts stuff. I'm not saying order from them, but I'm just saying that they do have some stuff there. It's kind of cool. I think I've told you guys this before. When I put that 5.3 in that Malibu, I use that Holley oil pan 302-2, and for clearance purposes, it did not come with bolts, and I was getting concerned. I was trying to find F-body bolts, but I still didn't know if those were going to work. Come to find out, all these same bolts, even these long ones here in the back, come off the truck pan, actually worked on that pan, because you can see where the level of this is, and that's basically what's hacked off that other pan. So I was able to use even these long old bolts, and it worked out fine. So if you do order that Holly pan. And you can order, GM Performance has a combination you can get, which is kind of going up in price a little bit, but not like the Hollies are priced. And it comes with everything you need, but it's like an H3 oil pan, so it's only an inch shorter than this, which would work fine for like a square body pickup or maybe any other pickup, but it does not work for F-body cars, and it does not work for the Malibu here. It would be okay if I stiffened the suspension up on it, but a friend of mine used it, an H3 pan, for a F-body. I think it was a 79 or 80 Camaro, and they bottomed out outside of town here. There's a pretty good bump outside by a bridge. It's kind of one of those, you know, kind of sinks you down and throws you up. And he pulled the bottom of the pan out of it and blew. I think tore the motor up too. So pulling the old pan off now. And these have a lot of flat surfaces on them compared to the old, you know, Gen 1, Gen 2 V8s. So your front cover, rear cover, and oil pan kind of rely on each other to square stuff up. If you get something off, and you can do that, you could either tear the pan up, break it, or it'll have a leak. Which I'm going to show you something here. I noticed when I was pulling that, I was putting the bolts on this engine stand. Apparently there was a leak in the back, and instead of them researching the leak or fixing it right, they JB welded the back of the pan to this plate. I'm telling you what. Yeah, I'm not saying I haven't done it before. Boy, when you buy one, pay attention. Before I take this all the way off, I'm going to go ahead and get that crushed up oil filter off there because I don't want it on there. This is what I used. It kind of will go from a bigger filter down to a small. I'm sorry, I don't know if you're in. It kind of crushes. The tighter you hit the loosen, the more I think. This isn't perfect for everything, but it works. It actually doesn't work too bad. So. Well, it is a Fram. COR 3506TL. I don't even know what that means. I've never seen one quite like that before. I think the one that's on my, I haven't looked at it. I need to change oil in that Malibu. It's been about a year or so. Mileage isn't a problem. It's just been over a year. And I run a mobile one and a mobile filter. But I don't know about the I can't remember what filter it has. I thought I wrote it down somewhere, and I bet if I look around here, it's wrote on a wall or on a board somewhere, or I've covered it up. But I think it's one for a Corvette, so I'll have to crawl underneath the car and look at it. I need to change the fuel filter on it anyway, so I may do a video on that because it needs to be done. I don't know how many parts this is going to be, and yeah, I ought to just use an impact on these, but I hate doing it. I hate getting you in bad habits like I got. I've had 50-50 success getting these balancers off without hurting them. I don't have the right puller, so I'm not going to try real hard. We may end this video early anyway, and I may go get a better puller. I noticed somebody was using one that went around both sides or all the way around, and it actually pulled from bolts through flat plates. And I see that being a much better setup because I was actually using like a 3 jaw, and I ended up breaking one. I never did get it out. I got rid of the motor. I hope those guys got it apart. I don't remember if I told them I had trouble getting that off or not, but it's been a couple of years since I got rid of it, maybe 3. But anyway, I'm drifting a little bit on the floor, but it ain't too bad. I have a 5.3 sitting here, and I told you guys I was going to rebuild it. I could have done it. I could even rebuild the motor that's possibly in that. But there's one of the big reasons why I didn't. One is it's expensive to rebuild one of these. The machine shop I used, he's in his 70s. He just seemed not mess with these motors. He likes, even though I told him, I said, man, it uses the same bore as standard bore. He's afraid of the metric stuff. He doesn't really want to get, out from his norm. And I understand. I'm not going to force him to do something he doesn't want to do. Well, the gasket is... Oh, I know why. It's because that JB Weld, that jerk face put on there. It's partially... it's got the gasket and the pan at the same time. Let me get that. If I can get past the pickup tube. Come on. It's not going to let me. The gasket's hung up pretty bad. I've got something here that'll work. Now mine just the cast iron block, so you're not going to really hurt the block too bad. But this, your plates, your oil pan, are all aluminum. And maybe that's silicone. I thought it was JB Weld. I guess it is silicone. They silicone the crap out of this pan gasket, which means it's probably been off there before. Okay. Now you've got your pickup tube and your windage tray. And you'll actually be able to start seeing mechanicals here in a minute. I thought I'd give you a quick, and make sure you're even still recording. Well, I guess you're kind of seeing stuff too. Your pickup tube is, the pickup tube itself is actually got an O-ring seal that goes in it. And to the oil pump, but it only has one bolt that holds it in. And they, if you're kind of not careful, especially if you put a cam in it, and all you do is pull the front cover, and of course your oil pump has to come off before your timing set comes off. So when you do that, you've got just one bolt that holds this in, and you got to be careful. And I think I've even said this in another video. You've got to be careful not to. To roll that O-ring, because if you do that when you're putting that pump in and you get this bolt, which is hard to get to, and when the motor, think about it, when it's in, your oil pan's on, this bolt, here I'll just show it to you. See, there's your one bolt I've already loosened up, and there's nothing on the other side. You see the timing chain down there too. That is, like I said, when I get this pulled out, I'll show you the O-ring part of it. And back in just a little. See when I drop this bolt inside. Oh, it's actually two nuts besides that hold that on there. I mean, it actually has a moving part here, but I mean, it doesn't. I'll show you. We can talk about it all day long. When I do an actual one of these builds, I'm going to take one of these 2 5.3s, whether it's the one that's on the stand. Oh, yeah, let me get back to the reason. I mean, I could go to another machine shop. I'm not like 100% dedicated to this guy, but he's always treated me good. Okay, you can see this comes off. You can tell it's got something in there. And when it comes out, the O-ring actually stayed in the pump. Most of the time, it stays on here. But there's only one bolt, like I said, that holds that on there. This thing kind of moves a little bit, but If you don't get that on there, or you roll that trying to put this all together, trying to kind of cheese it, I think it end up hurting you. I mean, hurting the motor, maybe. It hurts your pocketbook too. But, anyway, since these are just the windage tray bolts, I ain't got time to sit there and mess with this. I'll just do it quick. Oh yeah. Dropping dirt and everything. I drop one right down in there in oblivion. Yeah, drop one on the floor. This thing just sits down. Now when I put that one in the Malibu, I still used the same windage tray, but it seemed like they made me cut a section of this off. I can't remember if it was this side or this side, because the pickup tube was, of course, shorter and different. So it actually made me do things a little different. It wasn't hard to do. I mean, it wasn't like it was like, oh man, I got to cut this up. How am I going to do it? It was, you know, it was real simple. So here's your reluctor ring. That's for your crank sensor, and it's actually, I'm sorry, it's on this side. It's right, if you pull your starter, you can see it. It's right here. I'll show it to you later. But I'm just looking to see. This is the surface. It has to be exactly straight. I've seen guys use straight edges. I actually put one across here before they tighten these up, just to make sure when that oil pan goes on, because you got two bolts go to the oil pan here, and you got two in the front to go on the front cover. So it's trying to pull and, you know, do its thing. It actually looks somewhat clean. I'm not complaining about it. I was told it has about 140 or so thousand on it. What I do not possess is is any way to actually stamp. I mean, I can get a punch out and actually make little marks, but I would rather actually number them. And I'm also going to tell you something that the LS did. LS Design Engines did, that not too many other people did. They actually cast and machined these rods as one piece. And then they actually took and broke them in half. Now how they did it, I don't really know. So you can't just start swapping caps with rods. That's, if I'm not mistaken, that's what I was to understand. So, matter of fact, they are so good hairline, you can't even see where they're separated. I mean, that's how good of a job it is. I mean, if you look hard enough, you can see the separation. But, yeah, I read that and I thought, wow, I would have never considered doing that myself. But so I am not going to pull that off, and I'm going to go ahead and start pulling this end plate off, and I'll probably start pulling the balancer. It's just got a big bolt in the center, kind of like most of them do. And I might mess with my puller. I'll give it a little bit. If it doesn't act like it's going to come off pretty quick, I'll probably have to order something. I'm not going to be here. Well, by the time you guys see this thing, it's going to be a couple of months probably before I get on this. But I have so many other videos that I need to get done, and I got transfer case and stuff to do. Like I said, you'll probably already have seen all that stuff prior to this video, but I probably won't do a whole lot without you seeing it, but I'll probably go ahead and pull these back plates. Basically, they're just either 8 or 10 millimeter bolts, and then this thing just pulls off. And the front one, like I said, you've got to pull the balancer, and then the same amount of bolts, and it pulls off. I'm going to go, I'll probably swing through a Harbor Freight when I'm on vacation next week and get a set of those punch number and letter, and so that I can do this. The actual mains are numbered, but your rods don't appear to be. Let me turn the motor over and just double check, but I'm not seeing any numbers on either side, because like I said, they break them in half, and I don't see any. Yeah, I'm not seeing anything number wise, so I'll get some stamps and do it right. I probably shouldn't turn that over. That nut dropped down in there somewhere, but I'm trying to look down there to see if the timing chain's that bad. I can see it moving, but I don't know how bad it is. And I'm going to go in and order an oil pump. Like I said, chain's already here. And I may mess around here and try to get this balancer off. If it works like it's supposed to, I'll kind of show you what I did. If it doesn't, I'll have to get a different deal. You'll watch me do it anyway. So anyway, all right, guys. It's not showing you a lot, but I guess it's kind of part run, partial tear down. So all right.